All right, so I should be live, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about, well, life itself, really. It's kind of a broad topic. I'm trying right now to deal with YouTube, and I want to have my stream window open, but I don't want it to start playing.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so sorry about that. So basically, as a lot of you have probably heard, Total Biscuit made an announcement earlier today that his cancer spread to his liver. That's not what this video is about, but that announcement is sort of a preface to leading into what I want to talk about. So yeah, I heard about this announcement this morning. It's not like I know the guy personally or anything, but it is very sad. I, it sucks. I mean, the guy barely has. He's I think early 30s, and they've given him like 2 to 3 years to live or something like that. That's the general life expectancy on that. So yeah, that news was a little bit sad, just because, well, I have a heart, I guess. Hearts are problematic, though. Can't forget that. But basically, so today I went over to a friend's house to try out video game Dragon Quest Heroes. I brought it over there so we could play it together on his PS4. This is a very close friend of mine. We've been friends. Let's see. I've known him since kindergarten. I mean, we've had a couple of on and off times where we didn't speak for a little while, but he's always been one of my best friends. So I was fairly close with his family, and he told me, I know his mom has been unwell. She has MS, so that's a problem, a very serious condition. But he told me today that she was going to be starting chemo treatments. And I don't want to put too much out there about his personal life, but it's really weird. The timing, of that is very strange. This isn't necessarily a woe is me video. I do find it a little sad, obviously. This is somebody I've grown up around and know very well. She's always been very kind to me. And it's just really sad. She's not that old. She's in her 50s. They're not really sure how it's going to turn out. I mean, nobody ever is. Treatments have come a long way, though, so it's possible that things will get better. But I just thought it was very weird that, I started off the day hearing about this guy on the internet that I don't even know having this condition, and then it leads into my own personal life later on in the day. And I just thought that was very strange. It's hard to come to terms with these type of things, I think. I can't even imagine having that kind of condition thrown on me. And I have medical problems of my own. I have family members with medical problems, so I worry about these kind of things quite often. I had my father passed away when I was pretty young, so these kind of things, it kind of instilled a fear in me in that regard. But life itself, it's not fair, or at least the human perception of what we would think fair would be. It's not fair. It's not just. It just kind of is. You can hope for better. You can strive your best to work for the things you want, but in the end, you sort of get what you get. There's no, well, I mean, maybe there is, and I just don't know about it. I'm not sure if fate is a thing or not. I'm going to leave it open to possibility just because I like to think that maybe there's something out there dictating the way the world works. But if we're being completely realistic, life is definitely not fair. And I've often found that, the kindest people usually have it the hardest in life. And I'm not sure if they are kind because they know hardship, or if if because they get hardship. I don't know if that I'm really making sense with what I'm trying to say there, but it's just it's very weird to me that almost always seems to be the way it is with very nice people. It seems like they don't have the best of luck in these areas. And you know, if you were the kind of person that were to believe that, you know, good deeds kind of put out this positive force in the universe, and so if you put good things out there, good things will come back to you, you'd be feeling a little bit cheated, I think, because you know, you look around and things are pretty messed up. The universe doesn't seem to have much of a heart in that regard, and it can be very discouraging at times. You know, it's important to be realistic when these kind of situations pop up. You know, you don't want to give yourself too much false hope, or you don't want to give the person that's dealing with the condition too much false hope. But really, there's not, you know, there's no harm in hoping. I mean, hope gives you something to look forward to. I would have to say that if I had absolutely no hope at all, that, you know, my life was going to improve, that I was going to feel happy one day and better and be, you know, where I want to be, let's say, you know, financially, or have my dream career or something like that, you know, it's you can hope for that. And of course there's, you know, obviously I know that you can't just sit around and hope for things and they'll fall into your lap. You have to get up and take steps to do them. So that's where you know, self-doubt, overcoming self-doubt comes into play. But that's sort of another topic. You know, but what I'm trying to say is, if you don't have any hope at all, there's not much sense in even getting out of bed in the morning, or at least for some people. I mean, if you're a happy person, it's easier to live in the moment and not worry too much about the things around you because you're in a good place, you're happy. But when you're going through hardship, extreme hardships, even with, you know, possibilities of losing family members and things of that nature, it's not always so easy to be happy in the moment and enjoy the moment. You kind of want to, you know, put the pillow over your head and go to sleep for the next 20 years so you don't have to think about it. It's difficult. You worry about the future. You know, you're so stuck on worrying about this one thing and what's going to happen that you kind of fall into this pit of despair, and you lose sight of things. You know, you lose hope. But you can't do that. You know, you kind of have to take things as they come and try your best to be hopeful and, dare I say, positive. And I know that's something that I'm not very good at. So it's, you know, disclaimer. It's not, speaking from personal experience, I know it's not always easy to be this so-called positive person, because I tend to be more realistic, perhaps even a bit pessimistic, as much as I hate to own up to that, because, well, I've heard that from various people in my life, and you'd think that when you're trying to sympathize with someone and help them along, the last thing you want to do is put them down for how they feel. But that's not always the case. People, either they don't know how to help you because it's not something that they've dealt with personally, so they're not really equipped, or they just don't have strong feelings like that. You know, maybe they process things differently. But it's definitely not a help. You know, when you're already in a bad place, you don't want to hear more negative shit put your way, which is ironic because they'll tell you you're being negative. Meanwhile, what they're telling you is kind of a put down, you know? They don't realize that they're putting you in a bad spot and hurting you more because, you know, they're insulting you, I guess. So maybe it's not the most logical response, but in times of great emotional distress, well, you're usually not thinking rationally, which I would think is understandable. But some people don't understand that. And in situations like these, that's when you have to really try your best to remember that time can make things better. Um, when it comes to things like losing a family member or something, that that's something that always stays with you. But over time, if you're lucky enough to have time, it does get easier. And maybe that's because you forget certain things, which is a little sad. But it's also because you have time to process it, and you once again start focusing on other things. If you get left behind, so to speak, you're still here, and you realize that you got to do something to make your life better while you're here. And you have to enjoy every minute you can with the people that you care about, because as much as it's even hard for me to say out loud, as much as I hate to say it out loud, someday they will be gone. And you don't want to have all these regrets. Well, I should have done this when they were here. I should have said this when they were here. Tell people how you feel. Show them that you care. Spend time with them. These are all very important things to realize before it's too late. And I know sometimes people sadly allow things to get in the way of that, whether, it's just being too busy or arguments, and they allow those arguments to come between them permanently. And by the time they're ready to reach out, it's already too late. I guess I'm getting a little bit rambly here, but there's many different avenues that this topic can take. And I'm personally not someone that is good at dealing with emotional stress. I shut down. If I'm very emotionally stressed out, I have a hard time even doing anything. Even the slightest of things. It's bad. It's scary, because you don't want to feel that way, and when it's coming. What's going to happen to you. You know how you're going to react, and yet there's absolutely nothing you can do to prevent it, because that once that event comes, how you're going to feel about it. You just yourself. And it's not easy to deal with. I know you think, well, if well, maybe there's something you can do to stop it. Maybe you can learn better coping skills, but to be honest, that's something that I have not figured out how to do, I guess. But this situation was just weird to me today, just because of the strange coincidence of, reading about this one guy and then finding out that someone that I used to know, well, I don't want to say used to, because I still see this person occasionally, but basically grew up around, is dealing with a similar issue. It's very strange to me. As people, we can hope and we can wish, but really, what you get, what you get is what you get, whether you like it or not. And that's a hard reality to accept. I don't think that, I think in a sense I don't accept that, and haven't figured out how to. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'll ever learn how to. Maybe it's one of those things that takes a lifetime and takes more experience. Maybe there's no secret technique that someone can teach you to tell you how to best deal with these situations, or disappointments, or feeling like life is not fair, because there's really no way to change that. I mean, you can grow as a person, but if you feel a certain way in your heart of hearts, I'm not always certain that that's something you can change. You can maybe you're a person that's very good at adapting to situations, which would make it easier to deal with. But me, I'm someone that likes things the same. You know, if I could, as unrealistic as it is, you know, if I could have things my way, I would change very little. You know, I'm not one of those big change people. I don't enjoy change for the most part. You know, sometimes I like doing or trying certain new things, but you know, it's usually not too far out of my comfort zone, and that's because I know people will say, "Well, you're just being closed-minded. You're not opening yourself up to new opportunities and whatnot." But to be honest, you know, when I did take myself out of my shell, so to speak, and put myself out there to try new things and do new things that I figured I probably wouldn't enjoy, you know, I didn't really get enjoyment out of it. I was just making myself do those things to make other people happy, and that's not the kind of person I am at all. You know, I've always been somebody that likes to be in control of my life and in control of my choices, and not let outside influences dictate what I do or how I do things. You know, I like to figure things out for myself. I like to decide things for myself. I mean, I'm sure on some level everybody does, but then there's also people that would prefer if they could have their decisions made for them, or have somebody that could kind of lead them around by the neck. But for me, you know, that's not something I'm interested in or enjoy. So I'm the type of person that I would say I'm opinionated, and I know my likes and I know my dislikes. I know what I'm comfortable with, and for the most part, I'm not really interested in branching out of that too much, simply because, you know, like I said, I know what I enjoy, and me putting myself out there for any other reason than me wanting to is basically just a way to seem open-minded to other people, which, quite frankly, I don't really care to do that. It doesn't interest me. You know, I want people to like me for me, and not for what they perceive me to be or what they want me to be. So this discussion kind of went in a different direction, but it all kind of ties together. And you know, life is full of odd coincidences and strange situations that really make you think about things. And this is definitely one of them. It's almost sad in a way that these are the kind of things that inspire me to just kind of let loose and talk about things. You know, usually, I hate to say it, but it seems that all my best inspiration comes from sadness and pain. And when I find myself happier, I don't get that spark as often. And it's like it's sort of like a double-edged sword, I guess. You know, with your sadness, you're hurting, but you're also getting that inspiration that can motivate you to do things that you enjoy and talk about topics that you enjoy talking about. And then when I'm more happy, it's like, you know, I'm feeling good. I'm satisfied maybe with certain aspects of my life, but I miss that creative spark. Maybe, you know, maybe I have to learn to channel it in a different way and figure out how to continue being creative while keeping a level of happiness. I don't really strive to be one of those tortured artist types. Not that I'm calling myself an artist, but, you know, I'm making a comparison here. I'm not quite that self-indulgent yet. I won't be, you know, quoting myself on Twitter anytime soon, or going on about logic and reason and how I'm some kind of great philosopher, because that's not even remotely what this is about. This is just another guy on the internet with opinions, and if somebody wants to listen to him, great. If not, it is what it is. I still put myself out there. And, this is something I enjoy doing, and it gives me a lot of, well, it allows me to be creative, and it allows me to think. It allows me to talk about topics that I probably wouldn't have an opportunity to talk about with a lot of interesting different people, and also some shitty ones. I've come across quite a few jerks on the internet, but that's to be expected because, well, it's the internet. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure how I was going to end this. I kind of just did it spontaneously. And however it turns out because I'm going to leave the archive up. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say for now. What I will say is if you are in a position of unhappiness or dealing with hardship, and I'm almost going to feel a bit, I guess the word would, well, I guess I'll say hypocritical for lack of a better word, saying this, but you have to try to keep your hopes up. You have to try to remember that, take life one day at a time. Things can get better in time. You just have to stick around long enough for that to happen. And I guess you could argue, well, if things don't get better, then you kind of wasted your time, but at least you stuck around to see where things would go, and you gave it your best shot. And I'm going to be honest, I don't always follow that reasoning. There are plenty of times where I feel like just kind of want to throw my hands up and give up and not bother anymore. But that's not, I'm not sure that's something that ultimately I would be happy with. And I know a lot of people will say, well, if you're not here, you can't really care either way. But someone would care. And that's important enough to me. And I think it should be important enough to other people too, to, try, do what you can, take things day by day, realize that, yeah, the universe is not fair. The universe kind of sucks, but it's also really cool. And there's a lot of interesting things, and just, go outside one night in a clear evening and look up at the sky and think about how amazing everything is out there. Sure, it's a little disheartening to know that we as human beings are stuck here on this planet, and we'll never have the opportunity to enjoy the vastness that is the universe. But we've got our telescopes and our pictures and all that, and you can look up and you can dream and you can imagine, and that's all very important and all very important for creativity and relaxing. Just to take time out of your day to wonder and appreciate beautiful things. And this is not the Tumblr idea of beautiful, where everything is beautiful. I'm talking about actual beauty, sunsets and stars and planets and comets and meteor showers. But yeah, just remember to do your best. I know this video is a little bit different than what I usually post on this channel, but I like to talk about things that I think about as they come up, and this just happened to be one of them. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, that's okay too, but I'm still going to keep posting them. So like, dislike, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.